I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, the head coach for JobSearchCoachingHQ.com. You know, I sometimes go on the web to look at articles that have been written, actually the titles of articles that have been written, to give me ideas for particular subjects. And there was one article I stumbled into that was sufficiently good, I don't want to really change anything about it. It's called Why You Can't Get a Job, Recruiting by the Numbers by Dr. John Sullivan. Sullivan is an HR expert, a thought leader. I've known of him for years. He is smart. He is terrific. Often he has unconventional thinking about job hunting and about HR. This one is a terrific article. There's nothing wrong, nothing unconventional. And I'll just simply start off by, I want to give him credit, Dr. John Sullivan, and this was published a few years ago. So, this is nothing atypical. Circumstances may change over the course of time, but generally, these are the issues that people have. Number one is that your resume is going to have a lot of competition. Generally, the first responses to a resume arrive within 200 seconds, less than 5 minutes of the job being posted. Catch that one. If you're a late responder too, you've got a lot of people ahead of you. A lot of people ahead of you if you are applying for jobs. There's a hiring funnel. That's the second point he makes. Generally, for every job, people understand how many applications that they need in order to do a fill. So 1,000 individuals are going to see a job post. 200 are going to begin the application process. 100 will actually complete the application. 75 of those 100 resumes are going to be screened out by the applicant tracking system or a recruiter. 25 resumes in total will be seen by the hiring manager. 4 to 6 will be invited for an interview. 1 to 3 of them will be invited back for final interviews, and 1 will actually be offered the job. 80% of those receiving an offer will accept it. Recruiters also take 6 seconds or less to read a resume. I know I take less than that on the occasions where I read one because, frankly, we're going through so much and we're looking for something that demonstrates a fit. So they basically say of 5 to 7 seconds, 4 seconds of that is spent looking exclusively at 4 job areas, which are job titles, companies you worked at, start and end dates, and education. That means that those are really the focal point of the quick screen that firms do. And then 2 seconds are meant to find and be impressed with what's there. That's it. That's how the 6 seconds is made up. Resume errors can instantly disqualify you. 43% of hiring managers will disqualify a job hunter from consideration because of spelling errors. That came from an Adecco survey. The use of an unprofessional email address will get a resume rejected 76% of the time. That came from an organization called Be Hiring. So you got to be careful here. A format that is not scannable can cut your odds by 60%. Catch that one. Research that was done by the Ladders showed that the format of a resume matters a great deal. Having a clear, professionally organized resume format that presents relevant information where a recruiter expects to find it improves the rating result by a recruiter by 60% without any change to the content. If you make the common mistake of putting your resume in a PDF, you got to realize that many applicant tracking systems will simply not be able to scan and read any part of it, meaning an instant rejection. I've talked about this one for years, and I still get PDFs. By the way, a lot of the material I'm reciting here is coming directly from the article. So again, Sullivan's material is great. Weak LinkedIn profiles can also hurt you, and that's because recruiters and hiring managers use LinkedIn profiles to verify or to supplement resume information. So those profiles impact the number of interviews you'll get. Recruiters spend an average of 19% of their time on your LinkedIn profile simply looking at the picture. So a professional picture is important, and that a bad profile, a weak profile, like a weak resume, a weak organization, and poor scannability impact the recruiter's ability to take action. 50 seconds spent means many apply for a job they are not qualified for. So recruiters report that 50% of applicants for a typical job fail to meet basic qualifications for that job. Give me a break, folks. Why are you sending the resume? So part of the reason for that high not qualified rate is because an individual is looking at a job opening, even though they report that they spend 10 minutes reviewing in detail every job that they thought was a fit for them, they actually spend just 76 seconds or as little as 50 seconds actually reading and assessing the position description that they apply for. Okay, guys, the result of not being thorough, of not sending a tailored resume, is you're wasting your time and others. Even if your resume fits the job posting, you may still be rejected. To make matters worse, many of the corporate job descriptions that applicants are reading are poorly written or out of date when they're posted. So even if an applicant did spend the time to fully read the job posting, they may still end up applying for a job that exists only on paper, not in reality. So this is complicated. That one is not your fault. You may notice the others are. Making it through a keyword search requires a customized resume. Not tailoring your resume to the individual job means that it's kind of like a broken watch that's right twice a day. You will get a certain number of interviews, but not as many as if you customize your resume to demonstrate a fit. As the article says, even if you're lucky enough to have a live recruiter review your resume, because they're spending less than 2 seconds of the total 6-second review looking for a keyword match, unless the words are strategically placed and they can be easily spotted, recruiters will likely reject it for not meeting the keyword target. Catch that one. No one reads resumes in the database. This one I know is true because when I worked in search, all I used the database for was direct mail outreach. Some applicants have additional disadvantages because 4 out of 5 job-related factors that recruiters initially look for in a resume involve work experience. Recent grads are a decided disadvantage when applying for most jobs. Race can also play a role in the success factor because research has shown that if you submit a resume with a quote-unquote white-sounding name, you have a 50% higher chance of getting called for an interview than if you submit a resume with comparable credentials with an individual from an individual with a quote-unquote black-sounding name. And that was a University of Chicago Graduate School of Business study by M. Bertrand. And they also go on to say, resumes only get you the interview. That's it. You have to do work to get the job. That involves a lot of preparation before the interview to get yourself ready. Lastly, and this isn't lastly. Actually, this is the last point. Even if you do everything right, the odds can be less than 1% because there are roadblocks, bottlenecks, knockout factors that exist that are going to reduce the odds of your search being successful. I know this sounds very pessimistic, but many of these are within your control. One big one is in their control. And most of the mistakes that job hunters make really are their mistakes. So I'll just simply say, you have to do certain things to counter this. The perfect resume, the ideal job approach doesn't exist. However, when you look at things by the numbers, you can improve your odds of success. I'll just simply say that, actually Sullivan simply says this, my advice both to applicants and to the corporate recruiting leader is to approach the job search process in a more scientific way. For the applicant, that means to start by thoroughly reading the position description and make a list of required keywords that both the ATS and the recruiter will need to see. Then to submit a customized resume in a scannable format, which means Microsoft Word, by the way, that ensures that the key factors that the recruiters need to see, like job titles, company names, education, and dates and keywords, are both powerful and easy to find during that quick scan. Next comes to literally pre-test both the resume and your LinkedIn profile several times with a recruiter or HR professional. I don't think that's going to work, but this is his conclusion. The idea is basically by pre-testing, you're making sure that anyone who scans them for 6 seconds will be able to actually find each of the key points that recruiters need to find. I think this is where a coach comes in to support your effort. And the last thing is, and he says, my final bit of advice is something that only insiders know, and that is to become an employee referral. That's because the highest volume way to get hired is through employee referrals. That's because one of the firm's own employees recommends you, and also because the recruiter knows that they will likely have to provide feedback to that employee when they later inquire as to why their referral was rejected. So resumes from referrals are reviewed much more carefully. I love that tip. So I hope you found this helpful. If you're interested in my coaching, email me at, actually better than that, connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/the Big Game Hunter. Once we're connected, ask me about coaching. You can also visit my website, thebiggamehunter.us. There's information there about that as well. I'd love to help you. My network tends to be larger than most people's, so it's a good place for you to connect because it'll enhance your ability to contact others. Hope you found this helpful and hope you have a great day. Take care.